Welcome. Just curious, really, what the state of your game is right now. How do you feel about how you're playing coming in here?
You haven't watched the last 6 months when I've been gallivanting the world, Dave. It feels pretty good. I had a strong finish to the season last year and played well in the Middle East. Went down to Australia, which was a great experience. Sort of messed around with some different iron setups and sort of messed around with like different ball and a few equipment changes, but that experiment's over. Back to the trusty irons that I've played basically my whole career. So, but yeah, game feels in good shape. I had 2 weeks in Dubai to sort of shake the rust off. Played okay. Wasn't anything spectacular, but I've had 2 nice weeks at home and done some practice. And Michael Bannon was there the last few days. I feel pretty good coming in here. So,
all right, let's go to Jonathan.
Rory, you kind of stole my thunder. I was going to ask you about the irons. Any reason in particular that you went back to the blades? I know you've had a lot of success with them, and then also the golf ball. I know that's always a big thing for pros, switching into a new one. Can you just talk a little bit about what you saw from the ball that made you want to switch?
Yeah, I felt like the cavity backs just had a little bit of a right bias in them. So whatever way the weighting of the head was, or whether it was the blade length, or I'd hit shots that I'd make swings that I feel like I'd make with my blades that would be a very neutral ball flight. And then with the cavity backs, they would just like start to tail off to the right. And I felt like that, in a way, it's not a bad thing because I don't like seeing the ball go left. So it made me feel like I could fully release like my iron shots, which is great in theory and great in practice. But then once you get on the course with a card in your hand, for so many years, I'm used to feeling that like held off position through impact. And then to go from that to, trying to release it, it just was a different feel, especially, under pressure or in the, heat of competition. So it just didn't feel as familiar as I wanted it to. And then the ball's great. I mean, the ball, it launches pretty consistently a degree lower with every club through the bag. Very, very similar spin rate. I maybe picked up a touch of speed with the longer clubs. With the driver, I think it's a slightly higher compression than previous TP5s. So I'm getting a little bit more speed off the sort of driver and the woods.